Hey, Rani here. Shall we make a game? Yes. So yesterday, let me bring up the model. We've kind of finished the texture, so the tile sets for this room. I'm not gonna. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? I'm not gonna finish modeling this yet, as I feel like I kind of need the gameplay to really know kind of like how everything should be sized and spaced, and things like lighting aren't really going to be completed until it's modeled. So what we're going to move on to is actually doing the tile set for the next room. I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay. I've had a nice lie-in. So next room is going to be the dining hall. So I've got all the backgrounds here, so I'm going to flick through them. This one's lit really weirdly. This is like lit really bright. I don't remember it looking like that. Lots of angles in here, because that's sort of like, it's quite a big room. You can get close up in different parts of it. So just comparing it to the previous room, the doors are going to be the same, as obviously the doors are shared between the two halves, between the two sides of the wall, so the same. But everything else is actually quite different in here. You got this kind of like really kind of like tiling heavy red carpet on the second floor. You got this black and white tile, which is different to the grey tile I had in the previous room. This sort of like lower paneling is quite different. It's got this kind of like floral sort of pattern on it. This is almost like a marble looking wall. Almost different lighting. It's actually a very different room. You'd think they'd be sharing a lot more assets, but they're actually not. Also the ceiling in here, we actually see the ceiling, couldn't see it in the previous room. And I guess one of the things I need to talk about is what I'm actually going to do to this room to turn it into kind of like a skateboarding level. So the big thing about this room is, right, it's got the two floors, and it actually has it's not here because it's a 3D model, this is in the pre in the background. It has the statue you can push off. So there is actually the two floors of this room, and the two are kind of interactive, you know, the two kind of do exist in the same space, despite the fact you can't see zombies on the top floor from the bottom floor, but whatever. I plan on making it, if I get like a better camera angle for this that maybe shows off the whole space. I plan on making it so that there's basically a big, you know, like half pipe going up and down the two sides, so you can sort of transfer to the second floor from the bottom floor. That means that you'd need an easy way into this table. So I'm thinking, if I can get a shot at the end of the room, of having a ramp kind of run from the door up to the table, and then you can kind of like run along the table, and then you can kind of pick up speed and use it to get to the second floor. And I was also thinking about maybe having it so the statue is here and you kind of hand plant it to knock it over. So yeah, this room in terms of layout is going to be much simpler than the original. You're not going to be able to like sort of go around the table, but I think that's likely to be sort of more interesting from a gameplay perspective. And another thing is, I was thinking about maybe, because in the remake, I think they put a lot more items on this table. And I think make it so you can sort of smash through them all the way through. Yeah, something like the secret tape in the statue, something like that. So yeah, that's how, and there's quite a few new textures to do here, so I guess I'm going to start with this tile floor. Where is Ace Sprite? Oh, I haven't opened it, that wasn't clever. Yeah. Is it called the, hang on. Because these rooms do actually have canonical names. Yeah, it's called the dining hall. Okay, good. And so I'll make sure I'm sticking to them. And we're going to go for a whole new sheet pretty much. And we're going to go with a normal, actually let's have a look at the size of this. So I reckon a 1 by 1 meter square should be like, yeah, like a full quad of checkers. So let's go for a normal size of 16 by 16. Let's delete all these colors. And we're going to need sort of two sorts of swatches, one for the white, one for the black. Let's totally desaturate them for now. Let's start off with the white. So this is actually quite light. Oh, I've got palette lock on. Ah! Damn palette lock. Why is it there? Why does it exist? Let's just copy all this across and then do our usual kind of like run of colors. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, really simple here. Just turn the quads into shades. I know, what an amazing texture, right? You ever seen a texture quite like this? No, I didn't think so. So let's just build it over here. Again, this isn't going to be like the final sort of room. It's still not going to be quite like this, I don't think, but get the textures right now. Now, let's roll the dice. Will this feature to add a material to my object actually work today? Oh, I haven't got the object selected. That might be why it isn't working. Supposed to mention dining hall, floors, tile. Yeah, it actually did work for once. Yes. So let's tile this a few times. How many times are we going for? Let's look at the rough size of the room. I mean, bear in mind, we are going to be reshaping it quite a bit to kind of like take this into account, to take the ramp into account. I think you're probably going to want it about twice as wide as it is here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's going to be quite a wide. It's going to be like at least as wide as this. So I might actually just grab this and grab this entire strip of polygons and work off that instead. And assign new texture to them, and then I'm just going to tile it the other way. Oops, how did I do that? Anyway, and start actually putting some detail in these. So these are mostly pretty clean looking. They're actually, I'm not sure what this sort of white mark is, because like it looks kind of vague, like a reflection, but all this light looks ray traced, except these reflections look kind of weird. They look like cube maps, and I guess they might have been. They definitely had like decent specular reflections, so I don't know. It might be, it might also be kind of like marks, you know, like boot marks or something. I don't know. So let's grab our range colors. Let's go into shading mode and let's go to town with it. Oh yeah, the other thing I should do before I do that is actually use the actually use the features of the program you pay good money for. It's usually a good idea. Let's just sketch a bit all over this. Let's get rid of that. That might be a bit too dark. We'll tweak the palette a bit later on, I think. And lighten that up a bit. Just kind of zooming out, just trying to judge which bits of it are really repetitive and, you know, won't necessarily look great. Let's tile across the entire room. Let's do something similar to the dark palette now. Modern tools are so good. This is just so fast to do. Okay, that's a bit too noisy. So let's drop the contrast a bit on these colors. So, oops, I went the wrong way. Yeah, we can now get a few more shades in there and really kind of like use that whole palette. Because previously I was a bit like timid about using the rest of the palette because like, there was too much contrast on it. That's not enough contrast, so let's increase that a bit more. That's slightly too much. It's the bit that always takes ages with doing palettes. It's just like the getting that ramp just right. Just gonna slightly lighten this up a bit actually. It's a bit too dark. It's that kind of seesawing back and forth between being too bright and too dark, right? That'll do. I think I might have used slightly too many colours on this. It looks a bit weird. It might look okay once it's got a bit of light on it though. Let's have a look. Not sure about that. Not sure about that. What's the blur tool going to do to it? Yeah, that ain't good. No, not even that. That did not look very good. Let's try reducing the opacity on it. Just want like a soft blurring. I just want it to be kind of like, you know, a bit less over the top in terms of like fine detail. That's a bit more like it. It's actually added a kind of like soft like edging to it, which I, you know, kind of like a bit of trim around the edge, which I actually kind of like. All right, that'll do. So next texture, I guess we're in this trim, which is probably going to be a bit more involved. And this is kind of more of kind of like a reddish brown than what we've had in previous sort of scenes. So walls, we'll call it panel again. And it only tiles on X, so we can get rid of that. We can get rid of that color, and we're after kind of like a reddish kind of brown. So kind of there-ish. Okay, that's a bit too bright, but I think that's about right in terms of like hue and stuff. And I think it goes slightly more red as it goes towards the dark. So just gonna inch across and like that. It's quite subtle, but I think it'll come through a bit more when it's shaded. Oops, I didn't mean to desaturate it. There we go. I think I got Ace Bright stuck in a weird state there because it was I think it like remembered the saturation before I undid for some reason. Weird. I haven't seen it do that before. Anyway, so let's have a quick look for our pictures here. Do we have like a really good shot on this? It looks like it's the same on the top floor, so we can reuse that texture. So it looks like got kind of like a. Actually, it's not like a 1x1 meter tile. It's a 2x1 meter tile. That's fine. Yeah, I guess we're not. Oh, that's a really good shot on it. Okay, right. Okay, that's kind of complex. So we've got these two kind of like raised bits at the top. We've got kind of like a raised bit at the bottom. So I guess let's start off with that. Should widen this first. And can we show the layer edges? There we go. Okay, so dark strip on the bottom. Actually, the very darkest bit's going to be there because it's kind of facing the ground. A slightly lighter strip. Then we're going to have a lighter bit there. Actually, it looks like there's more of a, kind of like an orangey bit there, and the middle bit's more red. But we'll pretend we didn't see that just because I'm not making more colors. I'm a lazy dev. Sorry. Okay, that's the start of it. Let's really go for like more light in here. Let's get this kind of pattern put in, and I'm going to use the symmetry tool for once. Is this right? That looks about centered. Good. Okay, so we have this kind of like floral thing in the middle, which I think I'm going to do first because everything else kind of seems to hang off that scale-wise. If I can get the size of this right, everything else should just kind of drop into place. In fact, why am I not doing like two-way symmetry? Because it's obviously two-way symmetry. And then we've got this kind of like arc around here. And it kind of splits off. And then get this kind of like reedy looking bit where it kind of folds around. And there's more like a solid block there. So it kind of looks vaguely like that, vaguely like that. It's not a perfect representation, but I think it'll do. When we put more sort of grime detail into it, it'll probably look a lot more sort of correct. Next up, we need to just stick this in a scene. There it is. Oh. Whatever I just did, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Let's press that magic unwrap button and see if it does what we want. Nope, not quite. There we go, that's in. I'm just going to vertex paint this a bit so we can see what we're doing. It's just a bit dark at the minute. We'll probably darken this back down once we've kind of built more of the scene. Okay, let's just tile this a few times this way. And we're good. So now I should be able to just put a bit of shadow in the corners just to kind of like get an idea of how that'll look. We're going to have like tons of shadow kind of like around here, on the bottom like this. And get way darker in the corners. It's going to look nearly black in the corners. Just going to do a merge actually, just remove all the doubles. I think it's making it hard to select the vertices. Why isn't this working? Why isn't it painting? Paint, I tell you, paint. It's painting the floor, no problem. Weird. Anyway, let's put, we tend to have more of like a yellow tone on anything directly in the light, so let's do that for this kind of area over here. Can try a bit of blue in the corner. Okay, so that should be vaguely representative of kind of like what light's going to look like in this scene. So I feel this bottom part is way too dark. They've got like a bit catching the light, so I might actually lighten that up a lot. So this is kind of like more of a whitish color, so I'm actually going to, oh, I actually used it along the top, so no, I'm not going to quite do that. I'm going to change those first, and then lighten it up a bit. Okay, that's all right. And then I'm going to need one more color just to kind of like blend between these a bit for kind of like the sort of like, you know, the more detailed bits to kind of hint at there being kind of like higher detail there, but there's not enough pixels to represent it. So let's grab this color, let's put it there. Kind of breaking my rule of like having 8 shades, but whatever. I'm sure that won't come to bite me later. Desaturate a bit, lighten it a bit, and it's kind of go into the corners like this. Oh, that's way too light. Flick back to here, have a quick look at it. There's a bit of detail up here, we'll kind of hint at that there. And then we're going to sort of hint at more stuff all the way around here. That's good, that'll do. And I feel like I need another shade. Yeah, I definitely need another shade. And I'm also going to turn off the symmetry, as I'm now going to be doing like asymmetric stuff, like sort of hatches and stuff like that, just to again, hint at there just being a little bit more than there was there before. Yeah, so I'm going to do another shade of this, and maybe like bring this one a bit closer to the color of the background. And then this one here is going to be slightly further away. So I'm like trying to hint at this kind of curve around here by using the kind of like midtones. I should probably turn symmetry back on given what I'm currently doing. Let's do a few more pixels around here. It can't hurt, can it? Let's have a look at how it looks with the symmetry, symmetry lines off. I've missed a few pixels over here. Let's even that up. Okay, let's have a look at how that looks in context. Oh, that actually looks okay in context. I was a bit worried about how that was going to look, but that actually looks okay. I might, even though we can see in like this, that's actually quite true to the real texture, I might actually reduce the contrast between the fog, the kind of like the detail elements and the background a bit. As from most angles, the kind of like lighting and compression seem to just like really kind of like, really kind of turn it a bit into mush, and I think that's what most people will. There's only one camera angle where you can really see it clearly, so I think most people expect it to look more like the mushy version. So let's see that. Let's saturate it a bit more. Saturate it a bit more, bring it down slightly. How's that look in context? There you go, that's less busy than it was before, that's good. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grunge up the top and bottom slightly. So select both of them, use the pencil tool, shading mode, and select more than one color, that's usually a good idea. And then just sketch all over it. How's that look in context? Looks okay. We do have kind of like a seam here. Let's just see. I think that might be vertex paint though. Hang on, let me just change renderer so I can see the vertex. Yeah, the seam is from the vertex paint. So let's just fix that in the vertex paint. That looks all right. I'm not hugely enamored of that texture, but maybe I put the other things around enough. I'll see like an obvious kind of fix we can make to it. Next up, we have the kind of marble texture. Why can't I make? Oh, I've got it in normal mode. That's why I can't make it go up. There we go. And I'm going to want like 2 rows of this, I think. And let's just make the texture first of all. Assign it. What are you doing, Blender? I'm pressing assign, nothing's happening. Did it actually? Oh, wait, because I didn't actually edit the texture. I'm like, why isn't it assigning my new texture? It's like, it is. It just looks exactly the same as the one it's replacing. Ugh, why am I so dense? Wait, did I scale this incorrectly? Why is oh wait, that's showing me the layer bounds. Hang on, if I just close and reopen that, there we go. Now it's actually sized correctly. Right, yeah. Resizing the image doesn't actually resize the layers inside it, just like Photoshop. You know, you can have a layer that's big in your image or smaller. I always forget that. So what color are we actually looking at here for the marble? Because it's kind of like I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because again, the lights do kind of like tint the scene quite heavily. But we can have a look at, you know, this floor is almost certainly going to be like nearly purely black and white, right? Whereas that, by comparison, almost looks kind of like vaguely sort of greenish yellow. It's kind of hard to tell with the compression artifacts though. So I'm actually going to use the blur tool, and I'm going to try and use the blur tool. This is the blur tool, isn't it? Yeah, blur tool. Let's go for like a hard edge blur tool. It's not actually doing that much, is it? rate. Give me maximum rate. There we go. And let's try and get like a spot a bit further away from a direct light source. So it's kind of a weird color. I don't know what really want to call that. It's kind of a, oh wait, you can't see that. It's kind of like a very slightly greenish brown. So actually I wasn't that far off with this color. Maybe slightly more like that. Let's just do our shades nice and quick. And then the good old trick of using the, just undo all that damage I just did. Right, we don't have a good view on it there. Actually, that looks like a different marble to that one, but we'll pretend we didn't see that. It has kind of like, because marble, it has that kind of like veiny marble texture to it, where it has like all the, I guess kind of like different types of rock kind of in it, that kind of thing. So, but we're only working with a very small texture here, so we're probably not going to be able to represent that. That's fine. But maybe I try and kind of represent it, you know? Man, that looks terrible. That looks absolutely terrible. That might look okay in context. Let's give that a go. It's kind of got that kind of grain to it I was looking for. Oh, I need to re-unwrap these. Kind of want them all overlapping when I unwrap them, which it isn't going to do. Do I just start from one and then? Yeah, I guess I delete all of these and then recreate them, because manipulating stuff in the 3D viewport is way easier than the 2D viewport. Okay, let's go for... Now I'm making the ceiling slightly taller, but I don't want to make it too tall. We actually want it to be level with this, so we're going to want like another story. We're going to want another couple of rows and then one half row. So if I just merge all these back together, grab these, up at 2, we have one more row which is half height. So to there, cut them in half, and merge them back together, and then we can vertex paint them to get rid of the obvious seams. Now I can see right away I've got like a slight line in my texture running along here. I'll have to fix that. It'd be less obvious kind of in context when it's lit and things, because the lighting really does help to break up obvious repetition. Also, this texture, now I've seen it in context, could do with a dark edge along the top to kind of help break up this line. I might be able to improve that a bit with vertex paint by, say, like vertex painting a bit of shadow into the bottom row of this marble texture. But there's only so much you can do with that. Like kind of what I did over here, where I vertex painted a bit of shadow around here to kind of like make the join between the wallpaper and the wood less obvious. Let's just paint all the way around there. And then go way darker. All right, that actually looks kind of okay in context, but the question is, does it really look like the original? And the answer is not really. I think the lights actually need to be way more harsh in this scene. Yeah, they definitely do. They definitely do. Let's see if we can fix up this wall texture first. Like, it's just not looking great to me. I feel this kind of like highlight is way too bright. It should be way more toned down, like kind of maybe more like that. And also, I think the tone's a bit wrong. It needs to be kind of like more sort of towards the pinkish side. Let's just have a look at how it looks in here. It's this one, wasn't it? Yeah, and we're going to need that dark row of pixels on the top. So I'm actually going to drag this down, and then actually I could swap the top and bottom. I could swap the top two rows around, and it kind of produce the effect I'm after. That helps a bit. That helps a bit. Maybe I could do a bit more sort of like, you know, grime and grit down the bottom, but I want to be careful not to destroy this kind of like pattern that actually took quite a long time to make. If I grab all of this and then this brush tool, I can select just this range of colors and it won't actually edit any of these three colors that represent the kind of like the pattern on it. So I can then go to town on it and it'll just affect the background. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these and I'm going to push them very slightly towards the reds just because I think they need to be more red toned. I kind of had them more sort of orange, but I think they're more red. Let's go, there we go. How's that look in context? All right, that's starting to look a bit more like it. I think the next thing I need to do is add a shaded variant to these colors and then use that shaded variant down the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to say the bottom half of this and just replace them with the darker equivalents. They're not darker yet. It's just I've made the palette sort of entries for them. And then run through these and we're just going to just slightly tame them down. That one could do a bit of saturation just because, or something. Okay, we've now got this kind of like harsh edge between those two sort of palette entries, so maybe I should be more careful than that. Yeah, maybe I should add like a third one in between that's a bit more transitionary between the two. Got the three colors. There probably is an easier way of like doing this thing I'm currently doing where I'm kind of like, yeah, I've got like a run of like X colors and I'm replacing them with the same entries in a run of Y colors, but like it doesn't take super long to do that. I do it often enough that if there was a feature to do that built in, it'd be very, very, very handy to me. Right, I think the mid-tone's the problem more than anything. How's that looking in context? Looks okay. Looks okay. Not super enamored, but looks okay. Let's try darkening the bottom row of this a bit. I think it'll help. Oh, that's helped a lot. That's helped a lot. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some tweaks to this kind of marble texture. The first thing is there's definitely like an edge I can see here. Let's see if we can find it. Bearing in mind, this might actually be upside down. Let's have a look. That detail there is in the bottom right. Yeah, so the texture is actually upside down. Let's rotate it. Okay, now it's the right way up. So let's have a look for the detail that's wrong. So it's there's kind of a bit of a line along the bottom that doesn't quite, yeah, it's kind of like a bit of a, all of the pixels change pretty much along the bottom simultaneously. It makes it look kind of like it stands out from the rest of the rest of the texture. So I'm going to go for a single pixel edit mode, and I'm just going to go through and just kind of line these up a bit more. Yeah, but this is more surgical than the kind of like broad strokes we were doing earlier, so we're just trying to really kind of make it look a bit less so there's a weird gap. That's no better. Maybe I use the blur tool here just to kind of really soften that bit up. And then, actually I might blur tool the whole thing and then go back in with the brushes and like really kind of like tweak it in. I need to make sure I'm crossing the layer boundaries when I do that so that you don't get like an obvious tile artifact. That was the main problem last time. Okay, next thing I'm going to very slightly adjust this brightness kind of run because I feel like I've gone a bit overboard with it. Not by much, just a bit. This colour still looks very dark. What is this? As does this one. How's that look in context? Looks more natural. Still not a huge fan of this. It looks a bit off. But looks more natural than it did. So, okay. I guess next thing is going to have a look at the dining table. The dining table is going to be like a major feature of the room. Can I reuse this wood texture from here? Because it looks like it's got more of a grain to it, so I might make a new one. Yeah, okay. Can probably use its color palette as a base though, so let's go do that. Entrance hall. I think I made this a floor, and I think I called it trim, despite the fact it's used like everywhere and has very little to do with floors at this point. Like the bit of the floor it's actually used on is this like 2 pixel wide bit here. That's the only place it's used as a floor. It's used like everywhere else but the floor. But it's in the floor shoulder now. It's in there. It's done. Maybe I should stop trying to organize things before I have enough things to organize. So I'm gonna start off with this and turn on tiling mode. Now, what I basically want, effectively, is a texture with like a bit of, see if we can get a close-up on the table. I think that's probably about as good as we're going to get. Oh, actually, this is a really good one because like the light's really catching it here. So what I'm actually going to do is a bit strange, but it'll make sense. I'm actually going to make the texture really tall. Right, I'm not going to take a super amount of care of getting this kind of right. I'm just going to paint over the whole thing and then go into my like smaller sort of shading tool and then just scribble over it a lot. Just, basically sort of texture something in that looks like half reasonable. Actually, that doesn't look bad. That really doesn't look bad. I'm also going to go over it with the spray tool a bit, and I'm just going to, I'm going to really grunge it up, noise it up a bit. Get it really kind of like grungy and noisy. So it's got like plenty to kind of work with. And then I'm actually going to copy this into GIMP. And I'm then going to scale it back down to 16 by 16, turn that lock off. Oh, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Wait, I've kind of done this the wrong way around. I should have scaled it up because basically I'm trying to stretch the pixels out to be much taller. So let's actually do this the other way around. Let's go down to, going to say 16 by 5. Just a nice random number like that. Let's just really grunge this up. Let's make it really pixely and noisy and dirty looking. And again, paste as new image. And then when we stretch that out to 16 by 16. Again, we don't want it locking the aspect ratio. Should give us that kind of like distress kind of, you know, give us that kind of like almost sort of brushed metal, but for wood look. So if I then put this back out to 16 by 16, paste it in. My God, does that look terrible? This wasn't how it was supposed to go at all. So I'm curious, can you make like different shaped brushes in this? Oh. Yeah, I've done it in the past with like brush metal and stuff and doing like non-pixel style. I think it worked then. Did not work here. Okay. So stuff in like angle and stuff like that, but can I rotate this or something? There it is. Yeah, I can rotate it. Okay. I've never used this tool before. So now I can make kind of like a, yeah, I can make it like a line piece. So I can kind of just dot these around all over the place and it'll make kind of like stripes. I'm not sure that's looking particularly great either. No, that doesn't look very good. That looks like a Minecraft tree. It's not what we're going for. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Try and be a bit more careful with this and place them in ways that kind of make sense. That's starting to look a bit more like it. That's more like what I was expecting. That was one, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think also the color is the kind of thing making it look like a Minecraft tree because like it has that kind of very sort of, you know, it looks more like bark. It doesn't look like, this is kind of like varnished, right? That's what gives it that kind of like sort of like reddish sort of tone. It's actually coming from the varnish used on top of it. So if I kind of do this, this will probably give us the texture we need, but then we just go back and alter the palette to kind of make it look a bit more like varnish wood. Shouldn't really break up any like super obvious pattern with this. Well, because it has a pattern, it has like a wood grain, but like it's not one that's supposed to tile in a way that's super obvious. Okay, let's go then to a smaller. Oh, it's smaller. And let's just fix some of the obvious tiling issues. We've got this bit here where we have like these two dark pixels. That looks a bit weird because it kind of looks like they're kind of like designed to be there. In fact, that entire bit is a bit too dark. Let's do that. And we've got like a really long run of dark here, so let's lighten that up. And also a bit here. This pixel is just weirdly light on its own. As is this one. And then we kind of have lines running across here where it's kind of like not much going on. So I'm just going to try and get rid of those a bit. Let's have like a pattern. Let's have like a line run across it. That'll help break it up. Got some double pixels here. That's not good. That kind of looks okay. We've got a single lone dark pixel there. The pixels are lone and dark, if you will. And then I think I'm going to break this up a bit as well. You joke. I mean, it's not an integer, admittedly, but like I do actually have that somewhere in the code base. It's somewhere in one of the float functions. I'd have to go look it up, and I don't remember exactly where it was, but there is somewhere in the code base where it actually does a division by zero intentionally. I think it's so I can get like a floating point infinity. So let's make this very slightly more red and see if we can make that look okay. It's also going to need a bit more saturation, I think. Maybe it's a bit more of kind of like a run from more of a yellowish to more of a... I think that... No, it needs to be a bit more rich than that, doesn't it? Okay, so look at that in context. Again, with a bit of light on it, it might look okay. Let's just grab, say, like a random bit of the floor and go, this is going to be the table. 5 meters is probably enough. Raise it up by... That's also... Table's about normally a meter, right? Oops. And then... Stick it on there. And... That actually doesn't look a million miles away. I think with a bit of lighting on it, that'll probably help a lot. So we're going to have probably... it's going to be kind of like in the... Sort of like... It's going to be between the ramps. It's going to have like light shining on it with a bit of shadow sort of from the... Sort of like, yeah, a bit of soft occlusion from the ramps. And then I'm just going to dump a bright warm light on it. And then darken it slightly in the corners. Go like more of a bluey colour in the corners. It's all I know how to do, okay? Don't know any other lighting other than cold in the shadows or whatever else. Darken around the edges. And that probably looks a bit okay. So what will probably help with that is if I then, oops, not weight paint it, no, the engine's not going to support that probably ever. I'm just going to put a bit of shadow under it. I think that'll really help with making it kind of look sort of natural. Let's go for a lot more strength though. Just going to really kind of like shade it in a lot around here. And just a touch more, just to kind of soften it out a bit more around here. How does that look? That looks okay. I suspect with a bit more work it could look really good. Anyway, that'll do for today, I think. That's like an hour. So I'm looking to do like 2 or 3 textures today. So I'm going to think about redoing this at some point because I'm just not quite happy with how that came out. And I think this will look better when there's more things on it. Until then, have a great Sunday.